Well, maybe we'll get going. Good crowd. We do have some handouts. Does everybody have a handout there? There's handouts in back, or I've got a couple up front here. But we'll get started. Our main topic today is artificial intelligence. And my name is Tom Kreuzer. I'll be presenting here. First, a little bio about myself. I'm known as the PC guy, because I had the Minnesota license plate, PC guy. I'm the son of John Kreuzer here at Carondelet. John's right back there. I retired about 8 years ago from 3M after working there for 40 years in the 3M information technology area. One second, I'm going to close this front door here. I am an officer and presenter for the 3M Personal Computing Club for over 40 years, almost going on 45 years there. At its peak, we had 1,200 members from the 3M, and I'm still involved with it. In fact, less than an hour and a half ago, I was giving this presentation to the 3M Club out at 3M. So I'm involved with that. I mentioned I'm thrifty, not cheap, so if there's an inexpensive or a lower cost option, I usually will recommend or at least give that as an option for people there. I do free one-on-one tech help here at Carondelet. You can sign up for a 30-minute slot. I usually do the first and the third Monday from 1 to 3 p.m. And you can sign up at the front desk or call *5000. My next support would be this coming Monday, November 18th from 1 to 3. And also we're going to be adding a new person doing support. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try and talk a little bit louder there, but I don't want to get too loud because we've got TV and some of the stuff there too. So there's a new person who's going to try out helping there in February. Tom, sitting in the back there, Tom Strom there, is going to be also doing support. I think it'll be February 5th. I think it was Wednesday, February 5th or something like that, but it'll be on my calendar for next month. So I do these presentations once a month. Next month, the topic will be photo organizing and sharing. So we've all got, or most of us have a lot of photos, and we may have them all over the place. We'll talk about options on how to get them organized and how to share there, where to store them, and what I use and how I do it there. Also, along with my dad and my sister and my brother-in-law, we put on Fix-It Clinic, and we just got done with a Fix-It Clinic this past Monday. And so we usually do it every 2 months, so it'll probably be in March when we'll do another Fix-It Clinic. But we fix, or we attempt to fix anything that you've got that's broken. The resource, and I list it on the handout, it's in the back too. There's the URL to go out to for the Carondelet website. And if you go out to the Carondelet website, there's an entry out there called Tech Help. And in that Tech Help, there's the calendar of when some of these things are taking place. There's the resources, past meeting recordings and handouts. And then there's ask a question. You can even ask a question out there. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is artificial intelligence by myself, Tom Kreuzer. I did do a presentation on this back in 2023, so that was kind of an introduction to AI. This builds on it because a lot of things have happened in the last weeks, months, and years. A lot of changes have taken place in AI, so I thought it'd be a good topic to get everybody updated on. The amount of data generated today outpaces humans' ability to absorb it, to interpret it, and make complex decisions based on that data. AI forms the basis of all computer learning and is the future of all complex decision making. This year marks the first time that we can truly have a human-like conversation with a computer. And if you were here a little earlier, I was showing it, and we'll show it again during the presentation. But the chat bots, that's the human interaction portion of it, conversation, has come a long way, both in recognizing speech, pulling up topics, linking information together with the ability to carry on an intelligent conversation there. We will review a little bit. What is AI? Well, AI was first defined in 1956, so it's been around a long while, and it's an attempt to make computers think and act based on the best data available. To have AI, you have to have three things. You have to have a computer, you have to have data, and you have to have algorithms or code. In the past, we had slower computers, we had less data, we didn't have access to this internet, this thing called the internet, which has all kinds of data. And we didn't have the algorithms to attempt to store these billions and billions of pieces of information out on the internet. So today we now have massive computing power. We have an internet full of data, and where it isn't data, it may be complex sensors. So if you have a self-driving car or a Tesla car, that's getting its data from sensors. Cameras on the vehicle and sensors around it. So data isn't just in the form of a written article or a document there. And then right now you have thousands and thousands of companies writing these algorithms to produce AI there. I mentioned here from the computer aspect, when I was growing up, they were just starting to get transistor radios. You remember the old radios, and they used to advertise the radios as this was a 5 transistor radio or this was a 9 transistor radio, and supposedly the more transistors, the better the radio, or at least the more expensive. And transistors are used in computers and are used in the CPUs, and right now, the latest Apple CPU chip, that if you buy an iPhone 16, it has this M4 processor on there. That M4 processor has 28 billion transistors on it, on this little tiny thing, 28 billion transistors. That's what's needed to look up an index and figure out your speech. Are you slurring your T's or the way that you say words and what it has to say? All that takes a lot of computing power to do. And today we've got a lot of computing power to do some of these things, and it's only going to get better. It has led to the creation of things called machine learning, deep learning, where machines can monitor a situation and learn from their mistakes, make changes to do things. They can do predictive analytics of predicting what the next word is going to be or the next question. Or if you're searching for cancer and an x-ray, it can look through millions of x-rays and it can determine which ones are cancerous and which ones aren't. So it can do all these different things. And now they're moving on to what's called prescriptive analytics. AI can answer questions on any topic that it has data on. So that includes finance, healthcare, technology, almost anything under the sun is available out on the internet as data to be loaded. And if it's not out there, like in the case of if you're doing cancer screenings of x-rays, you load the data in and then you train this model on this one is cancerous, this one isn't, and all of a sudden it learns and is able to do that. One form of AI is chatbots, and chatbots can provide mental stimulation and companionship using AI interactions in a conversational mode. And I'll demo that in a little bit. One of the questions that I get from people is that they'll say, well, what's the difference between doing an internet search and doing an AI interaction? And there are differences, and searches aren't going to go away, and each solves a different problem. Search provides a list of links to web pages, to images, to videos, and other types of content that's relevant to what you're searching for. When you explore, then you explore them on your own. You click on links and you go and read an article, or you do things, and you're going back and forth between the search and doing things. A search is highly effective for finding specific information, navigating to a website, or accessing a wide range of resources quickly. Yes?
Could you please speak a little slower? It's hard to catch it.
Okay, I'll try and speak a little slower. However, I've got a lot of information to cover. What you can do is if you do miss anything or that, we've got the handouts, so you can read that. But you can also go out to the website and slowly go through. But because there's a lot of slides and a lot of material to cover, I'm going to have to kind of keep it moving. But I'll try and keep slow it down a little. Okay. Okay, a chatbot, as compared to a search, provides a conversation. It's a back and forth conversation with follow-up questions. It remembers the context, the previous things that you had said. You live in Minnesota, you have a family, you have so many kids. If you've told it this information, it has all this information to put the answer in context of what you're asking. And it provides personalized responses based on an ongoing dialogue. It can summarize contents. It can generate new content, creative ideas. It can provide writing assistance where you're having trouble or want to format stuff, and much, much more. Thousands and thousands of other things. AI can help you not only find, but also understand and utilize the information more effectively. So an example there, if I was to do a Google search and at Christmas time, look for a gift for a 10-year-old boy, I could do that, and the search comes back with a list of results and websites that may have things that they recommend. With a chatbot, I can then further refine it and say, well, let's add in a price limit of $100. Let's add in that it's 4 or 5 stars rated by a certain Today Show or something like that. I wanted to make a list. Oh, they're also interested in computers. So you can just keep dialoguing and refining what you wanted to look for there. Also, about what is AI? To become good at a task, we humans, so all of our life, we spend all of our life learning things. We go to school, we read books, we read newspapers, we apprentice, we watch TV, we're collecting data from all over. So we're constantly learning and getting information, but we can only get it so fast. So we can't take a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old and bring them up to be a brain surgeon. Can't be done. It takes years and years and years of knowledge in that. With AI, you can acquire more advanced subject knowledge. It can respond in seconds. It can do it for free or a fraction of the cost of what a human would have to do it, because you'd have to train them, you'd have to do this. So there's so many advantages there. AI is far from perfect. It makes errors today and sometimes spits out baffling results. Just like if you've talked with your friend, or I've got friends, everything that they say is not necessarily true. They may get their facts confused, or if I'm talking about the Vikings or that, they may get scores confused or things like that. So it's not perfect, but AI doesn't have to be perfect for it to be useful for us. It just has to provide a better solution than what it's replacing. Over time, it learns from its mistakes, so most of these AI features that are built into these systems will learn and get better and better and better and better. And as I mentioned here, it'll only get better. We're at the first level, really, of AI, and we've got many, many levels to go up to become better there. And this is the English quote there, or sign, better things are coming, keep calm and just breathe. Some people are afraid that AI is going to take over the world and replace everybody. It's not going to happen that way. Yes?
When you go talk with the chatbot, does he know or her that who you are from an identification, and then can recall all previous discussions?
Yeah, the question, I'll repeat it in case people didn't hear it and for online. The question was, when you talk with a chatbot, does it know the context of your previous conversation or other information? Well, if you've logged into your account and you've used that same account, it knows all the history of all the questions that you've asked and all the information. I think earlier we were talking about the weather with the chatbot. It knew that I was in Minnesota. So it learns these things. And yes, you do have the context. That's the beauty of it. It isn't just spitting out a fact or something like that. It's trying to put it in context with everything else. Okay? Okay. These are the three main players that the people in this room are going to be interacting with on your various devices. So on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop. These are the three main companies. Microsoft, they have a product called CoPilot. Apple, which they branded AI as Apple Intelligence. And then Google has branded theirs Gemini. Now, Microsoft purposely called their product CoPilot, and Google called theirs Gemini. Gemini is twin. And the CoPilot and the twin there's something here to help you. So when I'm doing anything on the computer, in Microsoft speak, I have a CoPilot sitting next to me that can help me and can aid me and that. And so you'll see in the way that they've implemented some of these things, it's all to make things easier for you. The other thing as we talk, and I'll go into detail on some of the features and the functions of these different companies. Yes?
It's hard. Could you kindly speak slower? It's hard to catch it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't there, because look at the almost everything is on here, so you can read off of here. But
handouts ran out. No handout.
oh, if people don't have a handout, I've got a few more here. Anyone else need a handout?
And it's all recorded, so she can go back and listen to the recording.
Yeah, you can go back and listen to the recording, but if I talk too slow, this would turn into a 3-hour presentation, and nobody wants to sit here for 3 hours, so unfortunately. The second bullet point here, these three companies, Microsoft, Apple, and Google, and the way that they're doing things, you'll see that there's so many similarities in the features and the functions that they're implementing. And they're implementing changes at least on a weekly, if not a monthly basis. There's new versions of the operating system. There's new versions of this different software that's out there that get better and better and more features and functions. The underlying, this slide shows ChatGPT. ChatGPT is used in all three of these implementations of AI, and that's the way the data is loaded, that's the way the chatbots work, and things like that is coming from a common source. But each of these sources chooses what data to load in and how to integrate it with their operating system and their software that they have. So let's start out talking about Microsoft CoPilot. Like I said, think of it as you're the one flying the plane. You're the one using your phone. You're the one using your computer. You're the one writing a document. Whatever it is, it's like you have a co-pilot next to you. And that co-pilot can help you do a heck of a lot of things there automatically for you. Microsoft created an AI chatbot called CoPilot. It's available if you have Windows 10 or Windows 11. It's available in the taskbar in Windows. And again, we'll show a little demo in a while. It's also available out on a website, so you can use any device, any browser, and you can go out to Microsoft CoPilot in your browser. It's integrated in with the Microsoft Edge browser, and I'll show that. Also, there's mobile apps for an Android or an iOS, an Apple phone or an Android phone. There's apps to be able to interact with it. The basic version is free. You can pay $20 a month to get extra additional features like integration with Microsoft 365. So if you use packages like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Outlook, and you want that AI built into there, that's where they do have an additional fee for that. You can interact with CoPilot using text by typing or voice commands. When you interact with it, you have control over the tone of the interaction. So this chatbot giving you information back, it can act like your really creative friend. And we've all had friends. Some friends are more analytical and they're precise in their answers and things like that. And then there's other people that are creative. They think outside the box. But when they draw, they're able to draw better and think of new things. Well, you can tell the chatbot, I want you to be really creative, or I want you to be precise. Or you can say, I want you to be balanced, strike a balance between being creative and that. So just like a friend may have a certain disposition to be very creative, you can have your chatbot and your interactions be creative. Through the Edge browser, that's the Microsoft browser, they have a sidebar, and CoPilot can sit on that sidebar and can provide insights on your current web page in the browser with one click. CoPilot can generate different types of content at any time whether you want a poem, whether you want a song, whether you want stories, reports, computer code. It can even analyze photos or artwork or other images. So if I upload an image, an old photograph, it can look at that image and say, well, I think that was taken in Rome. And it can guess the date. And it's pretty good at guessing the date and guessing the location. That's part of the artificial intelligence. It's looking at all the things in that picture and figuring things out. So lots of things there. CoPilot Designer Image Creator can create a logo. You can do drawings. You can do other images based on text or uploaded images that you do. So let's take, let me do this. Let's take a quick look. We'll go into the Microsoft Edge browser. So I'm currently running Windows 10 on this machine. So this is all available in Windows 10 or Windows 11. In fact, Windows 11 has even more features. But Windows 10, I'm in the browser here. I've searched for an article and I'm trying to look up information on passkeys. This is an article or a website that came up from PC Magazine talking about passkeys. Well, let's say I don't want to read this entire thing because this is quite long, but I do want to get a summary of this page. One of the things I can do is up in this top right-hand corner, you can see there's an icon for CoPilot. I can open it up. Let me get back to the menu here. And the first thing, or one of the options it gives me, it says create a summary. So it can take and see that the current page that I have open, let's create a summary. Or let's say I wanted to learn even more about passkeys. I could click on this, expand on the topic that is on this website. It'll expand on it. But let's do a summary here. And literally in seconds, it's gone through all the pages out here about passkeys, and it's created me a little bulleted list with footnotes about all the information there that is on that page. So in a matter of seconds, I got my information. Now this is where I can say, oh, the information looks pretty good. No, it looks like a bunch of garbage. This is the way the AI learns. Did it do a good job? Should it get a little star? Or should it try something else because it didn't work too well? The other thing you have here is this is to copy. So if I wanted to send this to somebody in an email, or if I was creating a presentation on passkeys, I could copy this information. So they've made it very easy to interact with. And as CoPilot, this is the sidebar here. I can close it at any time, get back my real estate, or I can open it up at any time and do stuff. And if I have other questions or things like that, I can type them in, or I can speak it in. And I can do it all within the browser. Let's go outside the browser here.
So that up or down rating, is that like out in the world now, or is there a phone rating?
That's training the AI model. So it doesn't say that Tom gave it a thumbs up. There's not, there's no benefit to that. But if an article or something gets thumbs up, more thumbs up than thumbs down, it's going to learn that that's the way that it should work in that. So that's where it learns from its mistakes and problems there. Okay. So this is the taskbar in Windows 10 at the bottom of the screen. You'll have an icon down here, and this is an icon for CoPilot. At any time, I don't have to open the Microsoft Edge browser. I can just open it right here, and you can see here it pops up, and it says, "Hey Tom, how can I help you?" Well, one of the things I can do is, we talked about it knowing the context of what I've done before or things like that. Well, I can go here and I can pull up previous conversations I've had with it. So there's the one, gift ideas for a 10-year-old. We can take a look and I can look at the history of me talking with it or or that, because again, this could be talking or texting. Ask it a question, it makes a suggestion there. I then tell it, well, let's limit it to $100. Okay, it comes up with a slightly different, oh, let's get 4 or 5 stars, let's make a list, plus the 10-year-old is interested in computers. Well, here's a bunch more. And I could ask it for further information and keep conversing with it or going different directions, just like you would with a friend or somebody else that you're asking questions. So I can get that information. Let's go here again. Let me pull up, let's see, where was I here? Oh, creating logos. So the generation, I can generate an image by just telling it a few things. I told it create 4 logos for the 3M Personal Computing Club. I should have a computer and tech. And within a second, these are logos that it generated for me. And I could use any of these, or I can further refine it and change it and ask it for a new set. But this is an example of what, here's a different one of the 3M Computing Club. Here's one celebrating an anniversary there, the club. We're going on 50 years, and so you can further refine things to get it settled that way. The other thing is, we mentioned that you can chat with it. So if I just want to have a conversation with the chat bot, let me go back here. Actually, I could do it here, but I can go back here. I can click on the button here.
Hope you all enjoy the session. Tom's got some cool AI stuff lined up.
Yes. How do you think the weather is outside?
Well, in St. Paul, it's probably pretty chilly right now. Make sure to bundle up.
How do we stay warm when it's chilly outside?
Layer up with warm clothing, stay active, and enjoy hot drinks. Simple but effective.
I'm giving a presentation here at Carondelet on artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. Back to the AI wonders. What's next on your presentation agenda?
Oh, show some examples of Microsoft and how some of the stuff works.
Nice. Are you diving into Microsoft's AI tools like Azure AI, or maybe showcasing AI features in Office 365?
Yes, I am. And
Great.
How about saying hi to the people that are in the audience here?
Hello, everyone. Hope you're ready for an exciting dive into the world of AI with Tom. Let's get those gears turning.
So you can have a normal conversation there. You can actually change. You can pick what voice you want to use and things like that. So you have, in this case, 4 different voices. If you pay for it, then I believe they have more choices. But by default, you have 4 choices there. Let's close this. But it's not perfect. As an example, I have friends that will say, "Gee, I want to use AI to pick stocks or for my finances," and it won't do it because number one, the data that it's loaded is old data. It's not up to the minute data. In some cases, it's a year old or more. So you don't want to be relying on old data to make financial decisions. So you have that. When I was practicing for this, I was asking it who was going to win the Super Bowl, and if he thought the Vikings had a chance to win, and it was kind of fluttering back and forth. Well, they have a good chance. They had a good year and stuff like that. And I said, well, what do you think of the quarterback there? And then he said, well, the quarterback, Kirk Cousins. And those familiar with the Vikings know that Kirk Cousins left the Vikings a year ago. So that's where you have to know how recent your data is. And if you're asking it current questions, you may get the wrong answer because it doesn't know. So let's go back here to the presentation.
Does that mean that Microsoft is not on a daily basis going into the stores?
Good question. The question, I'll repeat it again for the people online. Does that mean that Microsoft isn't loading the data all the time? Search engines get loaded literally every second. They're adding new things. So if you ask for the score of the Timberwolves game and it's currently being played, you're going to get the up to the minute score of the game. These AI models, this data is not, when it's put into the cloud, and I don't want to go into detail there, but it's like your neural network in your head. There isn't just one slot. There has to be all these linkages. If you've ever seen a neural network and there's connections here and connections here and connections here, you have billions of connections. In order to create that information and put those connections in there, takes a tremendous amount of computing power. That's why you've heard of energy shortages in some of the areas where the AI is, and I think Bill Gates currently wants to reactivate one of the 3 Mile Island nuclear plants, not the one that melted down, but he wants to reactivate it because there's such a demand for electricity to power these AIs to load data. And when you load data, it isn't just a case of saying, okay, I'm going to take a file and I'm going to load it in there. It takes billions of commands and these links to link the information together so they don't do it on an instantaneous basis. Plus, it's been proven on the internet that a good portion of the information that's out on the internet that's a year or less old is fake information. So they don't want to load fake information, and certainly, let's say it's the California wildfires. Well, you've got all kinds of speculation on where it started, what happened, who's responsible, things like that. And that information is going to evolve. A year from now, we're going to have more concrete information about what happened, and the true sources are going to come out and the information is going to be there. But instantaneous news can be a bad thing because frequently it's fake information or false information. Okay, so they don't load it all the time. In fact, that's where, and some of these models, they'll load it once a year or that. That's it. If you pay the premium, then you get more current information. So there's other things there. Microsoft, the next version of Microsoft Notepad includes updates written for AI that let you modify sentences. So let's take a quick look at that. There's a little review article here. So this is reviewing. Currently in Microsoft, Microsoft has a package called Paint, and you can do what's called generative fill. So I can type in a few words, generate an image, and I can add it to any picture or anything that I want. This is called generative fill. That's available right now in Microsoft Paint. Just like filling, you have generative erase. Just by running an eraser over there, I can take people or objects out of pictures. Now, these are things that you could do before using packages like Adobe Photoshop. But to do that in Adobe Photoshop, you had to be somebody that was rather skilled. It maybe took you 6 months or a year to learn the tool and how to do things and the layers and how to feather in so that things matched and what to put when you're erasing an object, what to put behind it. You had to manually cut out things and paste and things like that. And it might take you several hours or even a day to do this. That's now done in seconds and can be done by anybody. Anybody can do this. Anyone can erase stuff and add stuff to pictures. So the power that you have with these tools is really incredible there. Let's see. This is the Notepad, what it looks like. Let's take a quick look at that. So Notepad, if you're not familiar, is a little word processor that comes free with Microsoft Windows 10 and Windows 11. So you can go in there. I could be typing anything that I want, and with one push of the button, I can pop up an AI helper here. And this helper, I can make the sentence longer, I can make the sentence shorter, so I can have it summarized. I can change the tone so that it's professional, or this is more creative, so I can change that tone. And I can change the format. Do I want it in a list? Do I want it a certain way? I can change all that. Now, if I don't like what it's done here, I just say, go ahead and generate some more options for me to pick. And so I can pick options. And so using tools like this can help a person who's writing, where it may have taken you hours or days to write, now you can do it in a matter of minutes. I was giving a presentation for the 3M Genealogy Club, and they wanted a bio of me, and I didn't have a current bio. But I just took a couple of, typed in a couple of things about my biography from the slide that I presented earlier, and in less than a second, it generated a biography for me and then asked for additional information because I hadn't given it everything, but it formatted it, it put subjects, it put everything in the correct order and the correct deal. And normally that would have maybe taken me a couple of hours to do 5 years ago, manually going through, looking for a sample of a biography and making changes and things like that. Now I did it in 5 minutes. I did my bio there. So the tools are, to me, just incredible what we have available to us right now, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. This talks about Paint, the ability to add things or remove things. So we saw some of the examples there. Photos, same thing with photos. You can edit background blur, you can pinpoint an image focus, you can create new galleries, and you can manage photos.
Now that could be dangerous, right?
Yes, you've always had that capability in packages like Adobe Photoshop, but then it took someone with a little more skill to be able to do it. Nowadays, it's just a matter of seconds. And I think in the first version of AI that I presented here, I showed an example. I have a friend who went up to Canada fishing, and he has the typical picture of him in the boat, and he's holding a northern. It's like a 20-pound northern. It's a huge northern that goes from here all the way down there. Well, in a matter of less than a minute, I went out to a website because this wasn't available at that time, but there were these free websites that I could do it. I went out to the website, identified that area, and I said, replace it with a weed. And so it shows him holding like seaweed that's 3 feet long. And he had posted this picture out on his Facebook profile, and I took my counterfeit photo and I said, it looked like your photo had been doctored, and I was able to find the original photo of you pulling up this giant weed. You didn't catch any fish there, you just caught the giant weed. So we got a chuckle, but to your point, I think your point is fake news. Because you can change. I commented out on the Nextdoor site, which is a social media. Somebody had put an old black and white photo of one of the greatest soccer players ever play. So it was a picture of Pele. He was elevated way up high. It must have been about 6 feet high compared to the person that was next to him. And he was heading the ball into the soccer net. And I commented on that photo and to that person, and I said, that's a fake photo. That's not a real photo, because I was able to immediately do a search. If you attended the presentation on fake media, there's all kinds of tools. you can use any of these tools. I was able to search, do a reverse Google search to see where that image was. Well, the only place that image was on Facebook and Twitter. Then it came up with old newspaper articles, and the photo was much different. So somebody took that person, and moved him up high to make him look like he was flying there. Well, he's a good player, but he can't defy gravity there. But that's an example of people faking things because they want to get hits and they want to get likes, and there's a million reasons people fake information there. So CoPilot can help with certain features and settings even. As an example, you can tell CoPilot to turn battery saver off, show you your Bluetooth page, launch the screen magnifier, show you nearby networks, or empty your recycle bin. So if you have Windows or even a Mac there, if you've ever been frustrated going into the settings and trying to find things, this is an example where you can talk to CoPilot and let CoPilot figure out where that setting is and make that change. So again, can save you time and effort and finding things. CoPilot itself can be expanded through capabilities through these GPTs or plugins with skills, and you can have, like, let's say you were designing a new home. Well, there's a ton of resources to help you design a new home, AI resources, and those can be loaded, or vacation planning, or cooking, or fitness training, and they're all available for free.
What's the GPT?
GPT is, I forgot what it stands for. Does anyone know what? The ChatGPT is a nonprofit company that was funded by Microsoft and Apple and Google that money was put into. And that's the basic code or the algorithm on the way it loads data and the way that it extracts data. CoPilot is what Microsoft calls its chatbot that it has and its capabilities. Okay, so as far as Microsoft too, you may have seen the CoPilot Plus. CoPilot Plus has nothing to do with software. CoPilot Plus is a terminology or a brand that Microsoft is giving to hardware vendors who create AI PCs. So companies like HP and Dell are creating CoPilot Plus PCs. These CoPilot Plus PCs have these really fast CPU processors with neural network CPUs. That allows for faster AI processing on the device. So that's what you're seeing from. And they cost more because you're putting more computing power on the laptop so it doesn't have to go up to the internet. And it's able to do this stuff. When I make a change to an image, that change to an image started out down here on my computer right now, but it went up to the internet and then it came back down. If my machine is fast enough, I could do it all on this machine itself. So that's what you're seeing in terms of hardware coming down the road and some of the new devices. Okay, let's talk about Apple Intelligence or AI, the Apple AI. Apple Intelligence added features when it updated iOS 18.1 or Sequoia 15.1. So if you have an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac with any of these versions or newer, you have AI built in there. And there's more and more features rolling out all the time. But some of the nice things that Apple has, writing tools. So writing tools, just like we saw on Notepad, where you can be writing something and then you can, with one click, you can bring up suggestions to lengthen it, to summarize it, to change the tone. You have all those options when you're using your iPhone or your iPad or your Mac writing things. So this rewrite is also available. It can also proofread your grammar, check your word choices, sentence structure, And this goes beyond just the simple spell check and plethorosis type of a deal. It'll explain, it can explain why it's recommending this or things like that, so that you have a better idea of what you want to use. Because again, just like with CoPilot, Apple's AI is there to help you. It's not there to replace you, and otherwise it wouldn't even need you to type anything out. But it's looking to help you in the things that you're doing. Another feature that they have in these current versions is notification summaries. That allows you to scan through long or stacked notifications with key details right on the lock screen, such as a group chat that's particularly active. So if you do text message between people and there's a lot of text messages flowing back and forth and you don't have time to read them all, this can summarize it. So for some people it works, for others they turn it off and don't want it, but you have the choice. Another is new focus, reduce the interruptions that you get from email and text messages and things like that, for it to learn which are more important to you, which of your contacts you're more connected with and that you want to connect with instantly there. It'll learn all of that. Also, they made major changes to Siri. Siri has become more natural, flexible, and deeply integrated into the system experience. So CoPilot, where we started talking to it, that's essentially what Siri is now. It's a chatbot that you can talk to. Apple Photos now supports natural language for search. So you can go into Apple Photos and you can say, show me all the pictures that have a cat in them, or a dog in there, or a certain model of a car. It'll go through all your photos and show you just those photos there. You can also remove unwanted objects with the cleanup tool. The memories feature will create a movie by simply typing a description. It then picks the best photos and videos that you have based on the user's description. It crafts a storyline with chapters based on the themes, identifies the photos and arranges them in a movie with a narrative. So it'll do all that for you automatically. Priority messages, just like with the text messages, your emails, it can go through and organize them, where your most urgent emails are and where some of the others, like let's say it's an invitation to a lunch today or to a boarding pass, you want that to show up. You don't want to scroll through 100 or 1,000 emails trying to find that. So it can make it easier to do. In Notes in the phone app, so let's say you're on the phone, you can now turn on a recording. The recording can transcribe everything that's said, both you and let's say you're talking with your doctor. You and your doctor, it's transcribing everything that's taking place there. And then if you want, it can even summarize it down. Now, this, when you start recording, it's going to say on the phone that it's recording. So you're not slyly recording somebody. The other person on the other end is going to know that you're recording. But here's, again, an advantage there. What you used to have to do before is, let's say you were talking to your doctor, you maybe had a piece of paper and you had a pen and you were making notes and things like that. You can let it take the notes. You can let it transcribe it. You can let it summarize all that. And then if you want to add some things, maybe you add a few things or delete a few things, and you can send it on to a friend or a family member if you want them to be aware of what's going on. So you've got all these options now. In Safari, when viewing a page, just like when we were in Microsoft there, and we wanted it to summarize the website that we were out on, you can do that in the Apple operating system too. Apple also lets you generate Gemoji, create new emojis based on your description. And if you've attended some of the other presentations, I'm not a real fan of emojis in general or pictures, because If we go back thousands of years, all we had was pictures to describe things. We evolved away from pictures to using a language because that could be more descriptive. Pictures can be misinterpreted. But if you do want to use emojis and things like that, you can generate brand new ones out there. There's an image wand that turns sketches and handwriting into typed notes. So let's say you were just taking a bunch of notes and I wrote on here, it can do handwriting recognition and turn it into text. If I had diagrams or things like that, it would straighten out the lines and do things like that to try and create things. So it can interpret my chicken scratchings and stuff like that and turn it into a digital document there. Image Playground lets you use concepts, descriptions of people from your photo library to create fun, playful images in multiple styles. So you can create these different deals. Visual intelligence lets you point your camera at something like a dog, and your iPhone will then use the photo to search online to help you identify the breed of the dog, or if it's a plant, the plant or the tree, you can do things like that. So this feature can also detect phone numbers. If there's somebody posted up on the wall or you were taking a screenshot of a piece of paper, it can pull out the phone numbers and things like that in there. And this is similar. Google has had this feature for a number of years called Google Lens, and that's the same type of feature. I mentioned here Apple Intelligence is designed to protect users' privacy at every step. I'm quoting from Apple. Apple Intelligence uses on-device processing, meaning that many of the models that power it run entirely on the device, so your data never goes up to the internet or anywhere else. But on the other hand, a lot of your data is going up to the internet and to other models. So they're kind of lying a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, Google. Let's talk about Google. Google has something called Gemini. It used to be called Bard, and they renamed it to Gemini, and it's available on the web as a mobile app and as an Android or iOS app. The basic version of Gemini is free, or for $20 a month, you can get the Google One premium plan that gives you the additional capabilities plus 2 terabytes of storage space and integration with Gmail, Docs, and several other Google software pieces. If you've used a Google search lately, you've already seen Genie a little bit there because Genie is embedded into Google search results. So let's just take a quick look there. So let me go out here and we'll search for how do passkeys work. And the first thing that shows up here is you'll see there's the Gemini icon there. And here's an AI overview of how passkeys work. And I could just start interacting with it right here if I wanted more information or to look up some other stuff or change it. But this is the first result that it came back with. You still have your other normal Google results, whether they're sponsored or not, and things like that. But Gemini is built into the Google search there. Google Messages, that will create draft messages, brainstorm ideas, it'll plan events for you, it'll converse with you, similar to both Apple and Microsoft there. The Google Photo app, just like all the others, it has a magic eraser, a magic editor, a photo on blur, you can search, you can do all kinds of things there. On Google Phone, they even have a special feature where it would, since I'm the owner of the phone, whenever I take a picture, I can insert myself into any picture that I want. I don't know, I don't find that too handy, but some people might. The Google Cloud, out on the Google Cloud, offers many free usage of many other AI products. So they may be limited to monthly limits, including translation, speech to text, natural language, and video intelligence. Some are, most are free, some are paid service. An example there is, I mentioned like the 3M genealogy. Well, frequently in genealogy, you're dealing with maybe documents that were written in another language. Well, this will translate them. That's pretty easy to do. But let's say in the process of doing your genealogy, you had conducted interviews with a number of family members, and you have that available either on a cassette tape or recorded in some mechanism there, or on a videotape. You could have a transcription of that. So instead of you having to go through and listen and write things down, it'll transcribe the whole interaction, questions and answers that you may have done with the party there, and have it done for you automatically and for free. So lots of power, lots of tools out there. Okay, we covered the stuff pretty fast, but we'll take questions or comments there. And back first, we'll get.
I had a little trouble about the writing aspect on both CoPilot and Apple. You mentioned that tone could be changed, words could be substituted, grammar could be cleaned up. But my question is pretty basic: that whose writing is it?
Yeah, I'll try and repeat the question. The question was, because these AIs offer alternatives and changes and stuff like that, whose writing really is it? Is it your writing? Is it the AI's writing? And it's kind of a combination of both. So the AI is looking at what you've written. It's looking at what's called predictive analytics. So in all of these things that have been written, if there's these 4 words together, what's the next word after that usually? And it's picking words, and it's picking sentence structure, and it's picking stuff based off that. You also have that tone business where, okay, it's business. Well, business tends to be succinct and short and to the point. That's different than I'm writing a paper for a college class, and the college class wants 5 pages or 10 pages of a report. Then I want to lengthen it out. That's why you'll see on all these, there's options to summarize, but there's also options to lengthen it out.
I still find that very troubling.
It's troubling. What was also brought up, and I've heard numerous times, is whose document really is it? Because in one sense, in order to create this new wording on that, maybe it's the exact same wording of an article or of something that somebody else wrote. And so is that plagiarism? That brings up the whole issue of how do we protect against writings, because who owns it, and just all kinds of issues there that really aren't resolved and will have to be worked out as we move forward. 1 second there. So does that answer it a little bit anyway?
Makes me even more troubled.
Don't be troubled, I guess. Use it for what it is. So I mean, again, you can choose to use it, you can choose not to use it. But certainly I'd recommend that you use it and see how it works for you. If you're in a rush to get something out and you don't know the format, or you don't know, gee, I want to write a letter of condolences to a friend who just lost a relative. I'm not good at writing that. I use the AI. Surprise?
I understand all that, but as a writing instructor, I can see what that is. Huge area of use in high school and college.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The biggest question I have in all of this technology is What should we be training people? How should we be training people? Because you have these tremendous tools, just like having the best scientific calculator. Does somebody have to know how to do it manually, or do we use the automation of the calculator or the computer to do that? And my argument would be, if you know that you're going to have access to that, and there's no benefit to you knowing the mechanics of how it's manually done, by all means, use the tools that you have available. But certainly there's a huge debate. In fact, this AI business, billions of dollars have been funneled. I've talked before about Khan Academy. If you haven't been out to Khan Academy on YouTube, there's thousands of classes ranging from preschool all the way to postgraduate classes, full classes. They're available free of charge. It was funded by Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, funded it, and these classes are out there. Well, when AI came along, they were one of the first companies to embrace this to the point where they have developed a whole school curriculum to replace teachers. Because I can have a chatbot here. That chatbot can go at whatever speed the student is going at, has access to unlimited resources, unlimited classes, can individually work with the student. So you're not having to work with 20 people or 30 people in the classroom. And these are bored and things like that. Or if you're going fast, these others are being left behind. No, we don't want anyone left behind. We want everybody to learn, and we all learn at a different pace. And ideally, having this teacher sitting over your shoulder, watching everything that you do, grading you, so it constantly is running you through exercises and grading there. That's the power of AI. It's scary. If I'm a teacher, I'm going, are my days numbered? Well, no, it shouldn't be, because we're going to augment the teacher so that certain students that need it are going to have this, and there's going to be other activities and other things there. But by all means, use the power, use the technology, get the benefits of this stuff, and there are tremendous benefits. But we do have to be careful and do have to try this stuff and see what works and what doesn't work, and constantly evaluate it, because what is a criticism today might be fixed in a month from now or 2 months from now or stuff like that. So it's exciting. 1 second, we'll get, yep.
These systems presumably have access to copyrighted material. What are the issues of copyright?
Good question. The question was, these systems usually have access to copyrighted material. And that's a huge issue, because right now on the internet, things like a news article, what is copyrighted and what isn't copyrighted? Well, the newspapers want summaries and stuff like that available to everybody. But if you want the detail, you have to usually pay for a subscription or pay for access there. So that's a fine line. If these are just talking about summaries, is that okay? Well, indirectly, users may not go out to the New York Times. Users may not go out to some of these other sources if they're chatting with a chatbot and the chatbot's giving them answers. That's part of the reason why a lot of the chatbots don't give you current information. It's a year or more older. So if you want current information, you have to go to the New York Times website, that kind of a thing. But you're absolutely right. The copyright, and that's just in written. Now let's expand it to songs. Now let's expand it to poems. Now let's expand it to graphics. Well, I showed some examples of graphics or logos there. That may look like another logo that somebody copyrighted. You know, who's going to be the arbitrator of what is and what isn't? And those are tough questions. So we'll see. We're all going to have to learn there. Yeah.
It was like interesting to me as the widow of a writer, and as someone who has received letters. I want your condolences. I don't give a shit that they're proper and have all the right words. How will those of us receiving these artificial documents?
You're right. The question was, you may want the real words from the person, not from a bot or not from another area. And I guess my response to that is, everything that we as human beings do comes from somewhere else. So either I saw it on a greeting card, either I got a good note from somebody and I remembered that and I wrote that down. Everything in the world is being reused and repurposed there. Whether I'm the one who chose it, at the end of the day, if it gives me 4 options, I choose 1, 2, 3, or 4, or I don't like those, I choose another set, and then I ultimately pick something. You aren't going to know whether I was good there unless you really know my history. Then you'd know I probably copied it from somewhere or probably did a chatbot there, but you aren't going to know where it comes from there. And that's going to be true of a lot of things down the road. And as a society, my argument there would be, if it makes us more productive, so we can create these letters instead of spending hours or that doing things, and we can create them faster and that, that's a benefit to society as a whole. Now, if you're talking about a chatbot, and certainly some of you may be seen on TV where they'll talk about an AI writing a movie script or writing a book, and that, which it can do. I would doubt that any of these books written are going to be bestsellers. The bestsellers are going to come from a creative individual. But let's say I'm a creative individual and I'm writing a book and I want more information about how certain dogs behave. Where am I going to get that information? I can get it from an AI. I can put accurate information into my book. I don't have to know everything about a dog. Or my book is set in Tampa Bay, Florida. I don't have to live in Tampa Bay. I can do a search and I can get information and I can get locations in Tampa Bay. We all get information from all these different ways, and we've always had options of how we put that information together and do things. This just gives you more options and you can do it a lot faster.
What is the value to me? I was thinking, I spent a whole day writing 3 letters to widows before Christmas. And that was special. It meant something to me. Yeah, I could have AI that, and it would have been acceptable. But what does it do for me? That's what I don't see AI doing.
You're absolutely right. You know, what's the benefit to you in writing those letters? You got something out of it, but it could be somebody else like myself that may not have the time. If I'm working, I have other priorities and other things to do, so I may not have the time, but yet I want to produce as good a letter or note or condolences or whatever there, and I see these tools as helping to do that. Where you spend your time and where your priorities are, everybody's different there. And so if you get enjoyment out of doing that, continue the way that you go. It's just this is going to be an option for some of the people. And as an example, when I was talking about the prioritizing of the email coming in, when Google first put that into Gmail about 5 years ago, and then Microsoft put it into iOS 18.1 about 6 months ago, I got numerous calls from people saying, my emails have disappeared. Somebody sent me an email and I don't see it in my inbox. And I had to explain to them, well, you didn't read the notice that you got from Google or from Apple saying this is what's happening to your mail. But that's a feature that was implemented to try and make your life easier. For these people, it wasn't making their life easier, it was making it harder. In which case, you can go in and you can turn it off so that it's not moving stuff around. And so you're always going to have people that use the tools and those that don't use the tools. But to me, it's an exciting time because, again, some of these things that I couldn't do, or I know people that have trouble creating a well-formatted Word document. Well, this can help. This can create the list. This can do the things. And people that love photographs and love to create the best photographs that they have used to take, like I say, maybe 6 months or a year to learn how to do one feature in Adobe Photoshop. And it would take hours to manipulate that photo. Well, now I can take out that fire hydrant in seconds. And to me, that's a tremendous benefit there. And when you multiply it by the number of interactions and the different things that we do, because people will ask me, well, how am I going to use AI in my daily life there? And I say, well, what do you do in your daily life? How do you spend your time? And everybody spends their time a little bit differently. But if you spend time organizing things, bills or financial or things like that, there's a ton of tools here to help you do it. So it's kind of like saying, I'm not going to use a calculator to add things up because I'm going to do it manually. Well, I just as soon use a calculator or a spreadsheet or let my bank do it and I'll get it from there. There's options that we have for all these things now, and this is just another option that we can use. Okay? Yeah, question?
Well, it really helped me to hear it. There was a professor of computer science the other day really being offended by the Hollywood, California, which is really just that big sign on the hill, which is close above one of the main thoroughfares. That it was shown on Facebook or on social media on fire, and I didn't think so much of it. But then he started saying, of course there's fires there, in that area. But the sign itself was not on fire, and that he was really, he said it was ethically and morally so wrong to make that sign appear as if it's on fire. And for people in that area, it's an icon of something that's been there and that they can hold on to. Anyway, it just was really compelling.
Yeah, and we discussed a little bit there on the fake news or fake photos, and certainly if you're putting out a photo that's implying that the Hollywood sign is on fire, the reason that people do that is they want likes, they want shares, they want people to click on it and things like that. And that's always what kind of the fake news gets into is trying to do that. So we as consumers, and if you haven't looked at the past presentation, I'd recommend looking in there. There's a set of tools that you can use to check that out instantly. And part of that is just who's the source. And what's the figure that I've heard? Something like 80% of the population gets their news from social media. What's the worst source of fake data? Social media. Don't believe anything. Don't believe anything. It could say that today is Wednesday, and I don't believe that today is Wednesday unless I check it out. Because the whole intent of social media is to get clicks, to have people share. It's almost a game that people play to try and do some things there. So.
And advertising.
And so we all have to be skeptical, and there are ways of checking these things out. Usually it's a case too of validating that it came from a reputable site. Does it show a byline of who wrote it, when it was done? If it doesn't have a date, if it doesn't have a reference, if it doesn't have anything, 99.9% of the time it's fake. Somebody faked the picture. You know, if I look out on social media, I'll see tons of stuff that people put out there, and it's one of the things is claiming that this hieroglyphic that was found in Egypt was pointing to spacemen. Well, those are all doctored, and they reference professors and things like that, but they continually go around social media and propagate some of this fake information. So yeah, be very skeptical. Be very skeptical. Check out the sources and use these tools that I talked about for doing what's called reverse image searches. So it tells you where this image was also shown, and if it wasn't shown in a trusted newspaper, it's fake. And I could take and put flames. I could have sharks eating the Hollywood sign, and it'd take me just a matter of a minute or two to create an image there. So you've seen the images with the hurricanes or the floods, and the sharks will be swimming in the streets. None of that happened. Never happened. But it gets clicks and it gets people, excited or that. I think behind you, do you have a question?
Yeah, no, I just want to know your opinion, considering all of the, I think Zuckerberg is going to fact check anything. So X and Facebook and all of those social media things now are open for anything. Do you think they're really shooting themselves in the foot because people are going to stop using it?
Good, very good question. In fact, when I gave this presentation to the 3M Personal Computing, we had a question like that also, and the trouble with, let's say, social media having fact checkers. Who's fact checking? What's the criteria? There is no standard criteria. There is no one person that is a good fact checker. So everybody has a bias. You have a bias, I have a bias. Mine is different than yours, which you might consider unacceptable is that. I'd prefer to live in a society where we have freedom of speech. We all have the choice of, do we go out to that website? Do we believe it? Do we click on it? Do we do anything with it? Or do we do nothing with it? I don't care that there's fake information on Facebook. I'm not going to click on it. I'm not going to go out there. I'm not going to get angry because the Hollywood sign is on fire, because I know it's not true. And so if there was this gatekeeper, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk on Twitter or something like that, saying we're going to check on this, I wouldn't trust anybody telling me what they think is appropriate and what isn't appropriate. Because this is the same, and there's a whole nother area we could go down where, if you've heard of COPA there, the Child Protection Act and that. So let's limit social media to when they're over 16. Okay, how are you going to do that? I'm a technical person. I know how stuff can get done. It can't get done. The only way it can get done is, well, let's put a chip in everybody. I don't think people want a chip in everybody. Let's see, how can we validate that this person is really the person that they say they are? We can't today. We have no way today to do that. So any state or federal organization or anybody saying, let's limit, we want to protect the children. I'm all for protecting the children. Just tell me your idea of how to protect it. England was going to institute that, protecting the children. The way that you'd validate how old you were is you had to go into a bar and show them your ID. That was shot down pretty fast because, again, there's loopholes. Okay, if I'm a 11-year-old and it's supposed to be 16, I'm going to send in somebody else with a different ID or a different name and get in. So I'd like there to be protections. We just have to be careful that we don't cause more problems than what we're trying to solve there. And fake news is a huge one. We've always had fake news. Fake news has been around since before the printing press. Now, I would argue today we have more tools available to us today to ferret out for ourselves what to believe and what not to believe. And even given all the facts, we still can't agree on stuff. I've got a neighbor who's an anti-vax person, and using any kind of logic with him doesn't work, and he's never going to change from that. And, that's, again, going to be his choice. It's not my choice there. I can only look out and change the things that I can change myself. And I think isn't that one of the steps in Alcoholics Anonymous? So I think we all have to be that way, understand where we are. Any other questions? Yeah.
This is just a follow-up question. Are there any tools right now that professors or publishers use to get a feel for the extent to which AI is used, and then are they good?
Good question. The question was, are there any tools that professors or teachers can use to check on writings or other deals to see if it is artificially generated or not? There's numerous ones that claim that they can. And the trouble is, unless the AI is really sloppy, no, you can't tell. So as an example, a photograph or something like that, to tell whether it's manipulated or not. There isn't a flag on that photo that says this is AI generated. People want there to be a flag. Well, I'm the first to say, okay, you put your flag out there. I've got a program, I can change that in less than a second. Because if there's anything in the file, I can change that from a 1 to a 2. And then does that make it true? No. I just fooled your whole mechanism to protect it. So there isn't a simple answer. The packages out there, the teachers, and there's numerous sites where teachers can, free of charge, upload a paper or that, and it'll tell it, is it most likely AI generated or things like that? It'll go through and it'll check for things like that, but it can't be 100% positive there. Because just because a person used the same style as something else that has already been published doesn't mean that the person didn't have a thought there and put their thought together in the same manner that the original person did. Just like you have songs and you have copyright infringement. Well, who copied who? And there's only, 7 basic chords. So every song has 1 or more of these 7 chords in there. So if it has these 3 in a row, does that mean it's copied? I don't want to get in the middle of that, but it's questions that as you're able to create content so quickly and so fast now, hopefully we will get better tools to help us discern some of these things. But there unfortunately isn't a magic bullet or a check mark that says this is AI generated and this isn't, or 1% of this document is AI generated and this one's 50% generated. There isn't a thing. And when I've had discussions with some of my friends on writing papers and stuff like that, I question them and I ask, why is the teacher asking us to write a paper? What are they trying to get out of us? Because maybe with the tools we have today, maybe we don't need the ability to write papers. If I can go out to a website and I can summarize this and I can get an answer to a question and I can do this and I can do that, what should our schools and teachers be teaching people how to do? In the old days, we had spelling classes. You went through and spelled. I was one of the worst spellers ever. So I was so glad when the first computer I had, word processor, had a spelling package in there. I can spell perfectly now. I didn't have to learn anything. Let the package do it. And so the argument there is, when I was in school, we were having to memorize a sheet of 20 words, and then they were going to get quizzed on that. Maybe we shouldn't do teaching that way. Maybe we should teach the kids how to use a spelling package and a grammar checker and things like that. And when we do things like AI, maybe it has to be footnoted, and references have to be put in there, and things like that. So if you are doing a research paper or that, let's figure out what we're really trying to teach the people, and use tools that we have, but certainly teach people the skills to move forward there. And some of it's going to be that critical thinking of what's fake news and what's real news, and not just to believe anything that you see out there. I tell the people in the presentation, everyone has to be a doubting Thomas. You have to first put on your hat and say, prove to me that it's right. Prove that. Other questions, comment? I know we've gone over, and I thank you for attending there, and hope you got a little bit out of it. Thank you. And it's going to evolve, and it's only going to get better, so... but you can choose not to use it.